Good. I apologize for that. We were visiting and having a good time, so our chair is not here today, so if that's all right with everyone, we will begin the meeting. It's 8:03. This is a Renaissance Zone meeting, and thank you everybody for coming this morning. Once again, we apologize for visiting and having too much fun and not starting right on time, but we'll start with agenda item number 1, approve order of agenda. And if you have any changes or corrections, otherwise we'll accept a motion.
So move.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 2, approved minutes of the regular meeting of June 25th, 2019. And if you've had a chance to review that, if there's any changes or corrections, otherwise we'll accept a motion.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 3, review application from Brandt Hospitality Group, 201 5th Street North, for rehab, and attachment number 2. And if you want to start us off, that'd be great. And then if anybody from the group wants to speak, they can use that podium. And so we will begin. Go ahead.
Wonderful. So the City of Fargo received a Renaissance Zone application from 201 Hospitality LLC to rehabilitate the existing hotel at 201 5th Street North, which is the existing Radisson Hotel. The intent of the project is to complete extensive interior renovations. The rehabilitation would be a full renovation of all rooms, which includes new carpet, granite, vinyl wall coverings, etc. The fitness room will also be expanded, and the public space will have a light remodel as well. The construction would begin fall of 2019. The property is currently assessed at $11,538,000. The applicant has proposed a total rehabilitation investment of $6 million, which exceeds the required 50% investment guidelines. These improvements will result in $45 per square foot. The Renaissance Zone minimums is $40 per square foot being invested into the existing space. After review of this application, staff has given it a rating of 88 possible points out of a total of 100, which is very considerable of what we do with the rehabilitation projects. Staff is recommending approval of the project, and then as Commissioner Pepcorn noted, the applicant is here if you have any questions, or I can answer questions as well. Thank you.
Can I just ask a couple questions to start out, and then anybody else feel free? So basically, they had a pretty good score, but a couple of the scores where they didn't score quite as high, 5 out of 10 was in the, can you talk about those a little bit and summarize them, if you don't mind?
Yeah, so for the new construction proposed improvements representing high priority land uses, staff gave that a 5 just because it's kind of not adding to new high priority uses. They're just going to continue the ones they have there. So they currently have the coffee shop, and then the hotel will be renovated as well. So that's why we felt that it would receive a 5 out of 10.
Okay, very good. And does anybody else have any questions? Otherwise, if you gentlemen want to get up and introduce yourselves and then give us kind of a brief summary, we'd appreciate that.
Is there anything I need to push? No? Steve Martindam, Chief Operating Officer, Brandt Hospitality Group.
And Steve Kluvers, Chief Financial Officer at Brandt Hospitality Group.
So if you wouldn't mind just giving kind of a summary and some of the features, we'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Absolutely. So, right now we looked at the downtown Radisson building. We came in and we took over that building in January of 2018. And we've invested a lot into the infrastructure that you may not see, in the building. So we invested into additional safety systems and just some areas of maybe neglect that we feel happened over the last 10 years. And so we've made significant investments in the building that folks won't see. What we have yet to do is make a significant investment that will also generate a return, improve the image of downtown Fargo, and that's what we're looking to do here. So we met with the Radisson folks, and it was a lengthy process. They came in and Fargo, I guess, wasn't on their radar for a Radisson Blue, and we felt that's because they didn't know Fargo well. So we invited them to town. We spent a lot of time with them, and what became of that is we got Radisson's approval to become a Radisson Blue if we can make it happen. The last national conference, they announced that Radisson Blues were coming in. I think it was Toronto, somewhere in Brazil, and then Fargo, right? A little eye raise there. But they really liked downtown Fargo. We took them, we walked through downtown. They felt great about it. But Radisson Blu is a very significant investment for ownership. We're going through the design phase with Radisson right now. Every Radisson Blu is a custom job. So we're going through just the expectation of finishes and what Radisson needs from us in order to put a Radisson Blu sign on that building. And it's just a very significant investment. So we're happy to do that if we can make everything work, and that's what we're working towards with them right now. And then putting this building into the Renaissance Zone, looking for any opportunity to help get this done is I guess what we're asking from you. But I think it's going to be an exciting project. The building has been a Radisson since it's been opened. And a lot of folks have an idea of what the Radisson is, and we're gonna improve that image in the community as well. So we're open to any questions you might have, whatever you want to know. We are here.
Do we have any questions, Carrie?
For Pepcorn, yes. Are there any known detriments to other businesses in that building or nearby during this process, or as a result of the project being completed?
As far as detriments, harm to other businesses, more or less, no, I don't believe that there is. I mean, you look at what we're doing in putting an investment into downtown and putting investment into this building. We're trying to draw more folks into downtown. We're trying to draw people that have the funds to spend in downtown restaurants and downtown shops. The reinvestment in our property, we believe, is going to bring additional money, resources into the whole downtown community.
Any other questions? President Brashani.
Convention meeting capacity in the property?
Got about 6,000 square feet of meeting capacity right now, so that's all getting renovated as well. What you don't see is the upgrades we made in the audiovisual systems, the high-speed internet in the hotel. There's a lot that needed to be done already. So this just, what's on the scope of work here is a fresh look as well. So we put the infrastructure behind it already because we felt it needed it. And now we plan to give it a fresh new look.
Tony?
Just a quick question. Come on, light. There we go. Any other applications, pilot or TIF, applied to this project that are in the works? Is this a standalone request?
Just from our standpoint, it's a standalone request.
It's customary, we'll see a bundled package with something coming later with a TIF or a pilot, and wanted to clarify this is a standalone. Okay.
And maybe Jim, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but in the past, that was a pilot, that was a long time ago, or maybe it was a TIF area. Can you talk a little bit about that?
There was a TIF district that included the block Radisson design. I believe that.
I think we have a bad mic there, so you might want to exchange it. Thank you.
There was a TIF on the block that started when the building was constructed in the early 1980s. I don't remember the exact year. The Radisson and the other offices paid their property taxes throughout those years. They didn't really have an exemption, but the money went to, I think, pay for some of the costs of the demolition as well as the parking system. That TIF ended 12 years ago in 2007, and since then, the entire property taxes have been paid to all the taxing jurisdictions. Probably the other thing, it's probably obvious, but this request for the Renaissance Zone is just for the Radisson hotel floors, so the offices above that would not be receiving any property tax exemption as part of this application.
And I mean, this is a great thing just from the perspective of obviously the Block 9 Plaza, that's going to be coming online, which is going to be very nice. And then also our new, out in the front of here, we're going to be redoing the plaza between the library and the city hall here. So the corridor is going to be very nice, and I think this would be a great addition to that too. So any other questions? Mayor Furnace?
Just make a comment that in 1980s, when that was first built, it was thought that that would have a major impact in the downtown area. It didn't happen immediately, but it certainly has happened now with the Renaissance Zone, and I would, actually, I would move that we proceed with this request.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Good luck. All right.
I think we need a roll call.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. Should we do roll call? When you have an amateur in charge, when the chairman is gone, we do the best we can. So roll call, please.
Papcorn,
Aye.
Luchow,
Yes.
Furness,
Yes?
Swiatek,
Yes.
Grinberg,
Aye.
Rashani.
Yes.
Very good. Moving on to agenda item number 4, discuss Renaissance Zone Plan Update. Number 3, Amendment 3. Nicole?
Yeah, so in your packet is a little memo, and we thought we would take this opportunity to just kind of talk through the update, which is due at the end of the year at the state level. And this is, so staff has begun some initial analysis, as well as we want to, just kind of a bullet point list here of things we wanted to kind of confirm with you today. I have Kylie here too to kind of talk through the map. That is a laydown item in front of you as well. So as you know, about 5 years ago, we did I would say a significant update where we're asking for an extension from the 15 years. So that was the first update from the 15-year requirements. And so in terms of the updates, first we wanted to talk about, we're going to be sending out a letter here to everybody in the current Renaissance Zone on if they have any projects upcoming, or actually we're going to send it out downtown wide, we did this last time and it seemed to work well, just to get inquiries. They might be working on something, they might think they have ideas, so it's really good just kind of outreach to see about that. As well as in that letter, we're also advertising an open house on September 19th. So we'd like to advertise just kind of a meet and greet, learn more about maybe some of the properties, the projects, the blocks, and we have all new staff, introduce the staff that are part of the Renaissance Zone. So just kind of an open house and talk through those interests. Once we kind of process those, we would also come in from the Tax Exempt Review Committee to present, start kind of thinking through a draft. And on September 25th, that would be the next scheduled meeting for the Renaissance Zone Authority. We would meet to kind of confirm what we've discovered in our outreach, as well as discovered in our additional analysis, and really probably a longer meeting where we'd have a little bit of a workshop, if that date works for you. In the past, we've done tours, and if you wanted to do a tour, what we're finding out maybe a little bit on the analysis is that I'm going to use some of the terminology we used 5 years ago, which is there's some, I would say, no-brainer blocks. Basically blocks that aren't complete. We don't want to remove the blocks because if you remove the blocks, it's hard to add it back in, and once a block has had it, it's done. And so we right now are inventorying, are some of these blocks done? And so there's quite a few blocks that are kind of what we would call no-brainers. It's when you get to kind of the edges where we determine, do we need to grow north, east, west, south? And there's an extensive amount of rules on how these are mapped that you're probably all aware of, and Kylie's here. We've been doing some additional assessment on clarifying with the state staff, because there are some new state staff members as well, and what defines as a half block, what defines as a full block. If it's government owned, it's a half block. All these little things like the railroad, and just kind of confirming those boundaries. And so September 25th would be what we would expect, a little bit more in-depth discussion with the Renaissance Zone, and then starting in maybe mid-October, we would start to have that draft that we would like to get in front of the public, you all, as well as we need to get in front of the school board and the county it's a requirement under the Century Code to have their acknowledgement. And so we would come in front of the City Commission November 18th, and then an MOU signed by the city and the state by the end of the year. So that would be our deadline. It's might feel a little crunched, but let us know. We have time to work with you on more detail. And some of the questions on here are, what we would want to confirm is, blocks that should stay, blocks that should be added, how many in reserve. Last time, 5 years ago, we started this, we had about 3 to 5 blocks that were, we kind of left as a pool, if you will, so that if someone was interested, they could, we could work that through. So we can add those on later. So basically what we do is we tell the state, hey, we have these blocks identified as potential future blocks, and when a project came forward, then use that as like kind of first come, first serve kind of concept. And so right now, as Kylie will show you on the map, we're kind of starting to get maxed out on our number of blocks. And so how much you want in reserve is kind of a question as well. So I'll turn it over to Kylie. Maybe I'll stop if you have any process questions or.
Can I ask,
Go ahead.
a couple of quick ones? So Nicole, so basically the ones where there has been a project, like on the whole block, then those are being removed? Is that how you do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so exactly. And so really right now, there's only, I think, one block that is, that looks like it's been completed, and I'll let Kylie.
Okay. And then I'll just ask you one more and then we'll move on. But so I think it would be a good idea, and actually this is for Tony. I think we should invite the legislature to come to any of our meetings, and also any of the people from the state that are working in Renaissance Zone, just to let them know when our meetings are, and so they'd be welcome to come and see how we work. I don't think that would be a bad thing, and I know they're not going to be able to make it, or not everyone, but you never know. Some people, I just think it would be a good way to just see how we do our business. Tony.
Question, Jim, help me with the recent congressional action on creating these new zones. I forget the acronym or the name of the program that we've been, Opportunity Zones.
Yeah, the Opportunity Zones.
That has been endorsed and approved by Governor Burgum, submitted, and we were approved. So my question is, as we look to expand and, replace, Renaissance Zone activity, does it mirror the Opportunity Zone designations that were approved? Because they're kind of, mutually beneficial from a standpoint of federal investment, as well as the zones that we've targeted as growth. And,
But it's a different system, Tony. The Opportunity
I realize it's a different system, but it should mirror what we're trying to do strategically for the city, because you could use that investment to augment and assist the Renaissance.
Yeah, I think it does help, raise capital for Renaissance Zone investments. The entire downtown north of First Avenue South is in the Opportunity Zone. So south of First Avenue South, there's a few blocks there that are not in the Opportunity Zone. So other than that, there's 100% overlap.
If this is okay, I think it'd be good for us at our next meeting just to have that map, even though it's a bit redundant, but just to show everyone the similarities between the two. Steve.
Mr. Chair, Nicole, just a procedure question here. When it comes to if we recommend that a block should be removed or blocks added or whatever, we sign off on that, and then it goes to the county and the school district. What happens if they say no? Is there a process or procedure? How does that work?
I'm glad you asked that question.
Happen.
That's actually probably, I'm glad you asked that question. That's one of the things we've been talking about internally, is that's probably my biggest nervousness. We haven't had that issue in the past. And so we've been brainstorming internally on what are some of those pre-steps and pre-coordination. So right now I'm in the process of reaching out to both of the administrators at the schools and county, and starting to brainstorm and make sure there's a method to when getting on the agenda and strategically discussing these items. We find, at least, unfortunately, Chad's not with us today, but I was hoping he'd be here today where we have a little bit of that discussion. But I think September 25th, I think we should kind of affirm that process. And we did ask the state that question, and they've never had that issue before. Right. And so, Fargo's blessed with having a lot of new opportunities on the Renaissance Zone. a lot of times when we call the state, I'm like, we haven't thought about that before. And so, as you know from past legacy and history with the Renaissance Zone, Fargo is usually kind of the front runner, and so most of the times our questions stump the state. And so, but that's definitely something, Mr. Swantek, that we're wanting to kind of navigate, and we'll look to your assistance to help for navigating that as well.
I'm just going to say it all started with Mayor Furness's vision. It's his idea. See what you created?
Monster. I do have one question. I'm not familiar with this opportunity zone. Could we just get something sent to us, or an email or something?
Yeah, I can send some information on it. It's a federal program. Basically allows people who invest in opportunity zones to defer capital gain taxes. If they have a potential capital gain from a sale of another asset and they invest in an opportunity zone, it allows them to delay that as capital gain taxes, and then it also, there's no capital gains on their investment in the downtown. So, the Kilbourne Group and some others are working on opportunity funds that could be investing in the downtown.
Any other questions? Otherwise, Nicole, did you have other things you wanted us to talk about?
No, maybe just a little detail, and I don't know, Kylie, was there any items that you wanted to cover specifically, or?
No, I don't.
We haven't really rehearsed. So,
That's all right.
we're missing our more lax organized our space that we had in the old city commission room, but where it's more discussion. And maybe a couple questions real quick. So like block number 22, you'll see the red hatching. That is the Woodrow Wilson project. Okay. And so, for instance, when we look at that entire block, once they've started the process, and we can safely remove that block because we kind of know it's a one and done type of program. Similarly to, say, block 51, where City Hall is, and maybe block 56, where there's some other city properties, we know we can count those as half blocks because of city ownership. One of the discussions we started having at the staff level is, for instance, if we sell that block and it becomes private, then how do we get that full block back? So we're really in the weeds of some of this geographic discussion at the staff level. The questionable blocks, some of the, you'll recognize these blocks have been questionable blocks in the past, and we're looking at ways that these blocks, so one of the rules is the blocks have to touch or be tangential, and so there's some kind of unique ways, like for instance between block 42 and 43, we've got some kind of interesting right-of-way triangles, and so we're trying to figure out if there's methods there where we can, like, is that really needs to be separated? And then the other question that has been discussed in years past is the where the satellite block goes. We won't have that question for us as we proceed, because unless we were to remove block 55, but block 55 was recently added. The satellite block was recently allocated in the recent past. That's Jesse Craig's project and the housing project. So, there's been a lot of Renaissance Zone activity over the last few years. So in terms of as an update, it's probably not, again, as significant as it was maybe 5 years ago. Our main thing that we'll want to talk about, and this is kind of the next item, is kind of the Renaissance plan update is also the opportunity for kind of clarifying some of the rules and putting in pen and paper in the plan some of the procedures that the city wants to entail. So for instance, there's a lot of, if you read the Century Code, there's some vagueness to it, and over the years we've added some definition, and each city has done some slightly different definitions on things. And so in some of the activities we've been working with the developers downtown, they've brought up some interesting questions along the way. So we'll add that to the agenda as part of the September 25th discussion. And I don't know, one opportunity is if we wanted to retire and move to the Meadowlark room instead, or someplace where there's a dry erase board or a more informal, kind of more workshop component, we can certainly do that. And then if you're interested in the tour, we'll have more dialogue over the next month to confirm that. So I think that was really all we had to add, is just kind of just what to expect.
Can I ask you for a favor, Nicole? So the Century Code, the definitions and things, I think it'd be good for us to have that, and so I don't know how much that would entail, but I think that would be good for us to see. And I do think our city attorney should maybe look at this too, to make sure what we're doing is matching up with what the legislature intends and things like that. Because I do think, like you said, we're kind of the lead, and sometimes we encounter stuff before other people do, and I think we want to make sure that we are not going the wrong direction. So, Steve.
Another question, Nicole, correct me if I'm wrong, you said they have to be contiguous, right? They have to be, so what happens, and let's just assume we would remove, down the road, remove block 26. Does that have an impact, and we kept 28? Now, is that okay because it was there? No, it's, if you do that, then it impacts
Yeah.
other, got,
It's a
okay,
little bit of a puzzle game.
got it. Okay, just wanted to, okay.
Any other questions? Carrie?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Would this time be an opportunity to also discuss how we are using the scoring system?
Yes, absolutely.
Because sometimes I feel like we assign scores and there's not enough maybe leeway to consider what the overall downtown master plan is, or the opportunity, what is it, the opportunity zone? And just using some rational thinking in line with that scoring, and not just relying solely on the scoring.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very good discussion, and I do think the scoring system, that was something that the staff initiated, because originally it was just kind of totally subjective, and so this was a way to kind of make it a little more precise. So
If there's some way to combine a little bit of both, because I think we're getting to the point where some projects really fit into the overall scope of what our master plan is, and some we might find as we're going through the next 5 years might be more questionable, and we need, that opportunity to have a little more leeway.
Absolutely.
very good. Thank you very much. So so then we covered number 5 as well. So we're moving very quickly. We're on number 5. Any other business? I don't know if staff,
We do have number 5 real quick. I don't know if you wanted to talk.
go ahead. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's fine. So staff is looking to update the Renaissance Zone applications, just mostly to provide a little bit of clarity along with it. Like Nicole said, there's some questions as far as, what certain things mean on our applications. And it's a little muddled, so we'd like to clear that up. Hopefully, maybe we can get to the point where we have set deadlines as well, so an application is due at this time, and then you would be placed on this meeting, so it's not, the day before, and staff is trying to scramble to get everything together.
So can I ask that, don't we have that in a lot of other things where we already, and so to me, the easiest way to resolve that is just copy what we do with some of the other things, because I do think that's unfair to all of us and all of you to prepare ahead of time if we don't have a deadline. So I think if we matched what requirements are for other things, I don't know if that makes sense to everybody else, but to not have a deadline, that doesn't seem very good, so. All right, I apologize for talking too much. Go ahead.
No, that's the
But
gist of
maybe we
it.
can cover this when we cover these other issues, and so, very good. Once again, I apologize for talking too much. That's what happens when you give me power, Mayor Furness. You should have never said I was the temporary chair. All right, any other business? Otherwise, our next meeting is September 25th. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Have a good day. We are adjourned. It's 8:30. Boom.